What's up, welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Hurry Up Tomorrow, the new film from Trey Edward Shults, starring The Weeknd and Jenna Ortega and Barry Keoghan. This film is a companion piece to The Weeknd's album of the same name, which was released this past January. Of course, this is The Weeknd's second big role on the acting side of things, following HBO's The Idol. Jenna Ortega, obviously a rising star, just coming off the hit success of Beetlejuice. Barry Keoghan, people know him at this point. I think his fame has also gotten as big as his critical appreciation. And Trey Edward Shults, this is his first film in 6 years. I mean, Waves came out back in 2019. I thought that was a movie that was really impressive. I thought a film with two distinct halves. I thought the first half was really well done, but he's, definitely again, on the younger side of filmmakers, but someone who deserves a lot of attention due to his, I think, filmmaking craft and his early work. So I think all that together makes a lot of sense that there was anticipation for Hurry Up Tomorrow. I certainly was most interested in it for the Trey Edward Shults of it all, just as a film fan. I was coming into the film with an open mind, despite the fact that I thought The Weeknd's sixth album, Hurry Up Tomorrow, was not my favorite. I did a long review on that. Check that out if you want. Not that I thought the album was bad, I don't. But it's just when you think about the impressive discography and long discography over the past 15 years from The Weeknd, I just thought Hurry Up Tomorrow wasn't as impressive as some of his other albums, including the two that preceded with this, trilogy of albums he's made with After Hours, Dawn FM, and now this. And, if you look at the streaming data, look at the consumption data, I think that's actually kind of borne out, where songs like Cry For Me and Wake Me Up and the, previously released single Timeless are really the only songs that have stuck around from this. And, that's not the biggest deal at all. The Weeknd's still going on a massive stadium tour at the moment worldwide. He's a megastar. We know he's never not in the top 3 of the most streamed artists on Spotify in terms of monthly listeners. So it's not a popularity thing, but I just thought it wasn't his most impressive work, again, given the high bar. If Trey Edward Shults is going to go 6 years between films, I'm going to need something with a lot more ambition than we get with Hurry Up Tomorrow, the companion piece film to The Weeknd's most recent album. The movie is so narratively thin that there's just not a lot to latch onto. The script is really so straightforward, with a brief dalliance of, psychological horror, but really it's a straight down the middle thriller film where so much time and space is filled with listening to Weeknd songs. You hear about 5 or 6 off the new album, as well as some of the other ones like Blinding Lights. The Weeknd's able to effectively play a fictionalized version of himself, and Jenna Ortega I actually think is pretty charming for the material she's given, but it's just not you have Abel struggling to get over a breakup and really going through it in a not pleasant way, and the movie doesn't even effectively communicate that he hadn't broken up with Jenna Ortega. Jenna Ortega's character is actually someone he hadn't met before. Once they finally have their meet cute, I think the movie picks up briefly. But then, I think everything with the psychological tension, once the twist of the movie happens, I don't think any of it works. And my favorite aspect of the movie is this brief moment where Jenna Ortega's character is showing her bona fides as a Weeknd stan and is analyzing songs like Blinding Lights and Gasoline off Dawn FM and also dancing to them, evoking the Wednesday Netflix meme. That was the one scene in the movie where I cracked a smile, but I just thought, narratively, this film doesn't work. There's just really no character development. I don't know. I just found it kind of uninteresting. Frankly, I thought HBO's The Idol, a show that has a lot of issues, a show I've talked about before, I found The Idol a lot more interesting than I do Hurry Up Tomorrow, to be quite frank. There's just a lot more to that show, and that show at least has a high ceiling it's trying to reach that it doesn't get to, but you at least can see the narrative and authorial intent with that. Hurry Up Tomorrow, I think, is just so basic. I just don't think there's a whole lot to really latch onto, and again, I'm just so disappointed because it's from Trey Edward Shults. Again, I loved Waves. He's supposed to be a rising filmmaker, and then we wait 6 years between films from him, which is a long wait for someone still earlier in their career, and he comes back with a music album companion piece film that doesn't, anyone could have made this. Yes, you get some of his filmmaking touch, right? There's a lot of close-ups, there's a lot of handheld camera, stuff like that, but man, I was really unimpressed and honestly quite bored with a lot of the movie. And I'm sure Weeknd fans will find things to like about it. But I mean, I don't know. I think The Idol had more ambition than this. And again, I think Jenna Ortega did a decent job. But ultimately her character, not super likable once the twist happens. The Weeknd, this fictional Weeknd, not super likable the way he's truly crashing out with this relationship. Barry Keoghan, plays his manager and like longtime friend, and his character, there's definitely like a sense of, pushing Abel to keep going because, you got to keep the cash cow machine rolling with him as a touring artist. Like you see that very overtly, and the film doesn't make any space to give you too much nuance to his character. There's one brief moment where he explains how they've met, and that gives you some sense of dimensionality to his character, but ultimately there's not enough time spent with it because we spend a lot of time with these, kind of stylized visuals and plays on Weeknd music. So yeah, I just think it was pretty ineffective, to be honest. And I think even if you loved Hurry Up Tomorrow, like even if you loved that album way more than me, I don't think that would change, to be honest, because the movie, I don't know, just not what Lionsgate needed. It sounds like it's going to open to sub 10 million, which is not ideal. But I won't be shocked if the Jenna Ortega dancing stuff, where she's dancing to Blinding Lights and Gasoline, I would not be shocked if that becomes a meme online, just like her dancing to Wednesday to Lady Gaga a few years back did. But yeah, I think this is going to come and go. Let me know, though, what did you think of Hurry Up Tomorrow? If you liked it, if you found things interesting about it, please tell me what they were, because I'm clearly missing something. Let me know. And for more movie reviews and more Weeknd album reviews, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.